I Am Afraid of Monsters by Casey Street. My children talk of monsters, of creatures breathing fire, with eyes of gold and claws that grab your legs at night. They pause as we walk in the dark and ask, Mama, is it safe? Will the monster get me? I smile and assure them, monsters aren't real, boys. You'll be all right. But as I hold their hands and walk through the dark, I know that isn't true. The monster, the real monster, takes on a different shape. It can camouflage and bide its time, but eventually rears its ugly head. It's the scariest kind of monster, birthed out of ignorance and hate. My children are boys, black boys. Right now, this is something they do not know. Right now, they dream of summer days and superheroes, of construction trucks and Frozen. Right now, they trust everybody. They love everybody. How long can they bask in this glow? They don't know to walk with caution, to not run alone. They don't know of the hate they'll face for the color of their skin. They don't know yet of the real monster that is waiting to get in. And if the future follows the current path we're taking, I am afraid, so afraid of the society we are making. My husband, called to serve, dresses himself in blue. He leaves at night to uphold the law, equipped to serve his city, one and all. I pause as we walk hand in hand to the door. I ask, is it safe? He smiles and assures me I'll be fine. I refuse to feed it, the monster who grows from hate. But what do we do when the monster is exposed within the ranks of those we trust to protect? How do we not fear what will happen next when it emerges from its darkness and casts a shadow in an ever-reaching arc over those who spend their lives fighting against the very monster that's put them in the dark? I am afraid of monsters. I am afraid because the monster doesn't die from protest, peaceful and full of heart. I am afraid because in order to pierce the ears of justice, the fire must start. And as the flame ignites, it's my husband who must work to keep the peace, a peace which never truly existed. History herself has failed to teach. I am afraid because as I see my husband walk out the door, we know we may not hear his I love you anymore. The monster wreaks its havoc unabridged and with reprieve, and we know our sons will one day face the monster, and that when they do, what if they can't breathe? I am afraid of monsters, but I will not live in fear. I will not become a victim clasped in the monster's claws. I will fight for justice, fight for hope, fight for the cause. But how do we defeat a monster who thrives on hate and breeds from ignorance? We listen, we learn, we act, and we love. We must take a stance. We listen. We must open our ears and hearts to hear the voices of those hunted in the past. We must not pretend to hear, to shake our heads, but never take up arms when asked. For the monster wears many masks, and we must work to reveal the disguise. And listen to the cries. Open not only our ears, but also our eyes, for much is said in silence. Actions speak louder than words, they say, until the monster grabs the mic. Drown out the monster's voice and listen as we take a knee to pray and fight. We must listen. We learn. We must take the time to study, to take a closer look. We must not forget that everything isn't taught in a book. History is a teacher, but many fail her class, for the monster sits and whispers, accept this, do it as it's been done in the past. If we never question, never think beyond the status quo, how will we recognize our own thoughts? For hate isn't something we're born with, it's something that we're taught. So if Mr. Man is right and education equalizes the conditions of men, how do we not prioritize this thinking and learn all we can? We must learn. We act. We must not sit in solemn silence, lost in our thoughts and tears. We must put pen to paper, take to the polls, voice our fears. For the monster's main alliance is passivity. So march and speak, hold hands, cry out, kneel on bended knee. It's time to act. It's time to speak. It's time to build. Time to build a bridge that connects the roads less traveled by Douglas, King, and Parks. Build a bridge that spans the valley of injustice, a bridge that can ignite a spark, for a bridge at its core is a connection. So build, use your tools, the most important found in the ballot box. Don't let the monster change your course, deter your hope, think all is lost. We must act. We love. We must speak in kindness to all we meet. We must teach our kindness to the children resting at our feet. For if the greatest of these is love, when did we decide that one color is favored from above? Every artist knows to paint your masterpiece, you cannot paint with just one color, for what would that be? But add a bit of contrast, some colors, different hues and shades, and what you get is beautiful, so carefully, so wonderfully made. But how, oh how does love conquer hate when the system seems to complement this monster at an exponential rate? When rhetoric and status are used as teaching tools, how do we learn to love? How do we not act as fools? Hate cannot drive out hate. Perhaps we listen to Dr. King, for the monster is always hungry, ever chasing, ever being. But love alone cannot change our track, so we must take a stand, start to listen, learn, and act. We can start right now, start today to break the cycle. It's the only way. Do it for friends, for sons and daughters, for husband, wives, mothers, and fathers. And as for my boys, when they grow to be young men, when the monster claws, I won't pretend. I'll hold their hands and with raised voice scream love, not hate. It is your choice. I am afraid of monsters, but I will not live in fear.